Thanks for clicking on State of the City. My name's Todd Prafke. I'm the City Administrator here in St. Peter. Today's February 4th, and kind of a blustery day today, kind of sleety almost, ice-covered, all kinds of stuff. So anyway, hope you got to work or school or whatever you're doing just fine. Hope your travels were great today. I have a number of things that we want to talk about, but first I wanted to mention, thanks for clicking on me, whether you catch this on YouTube or Facebook or maybe off our website. Really appreciate you clicking on and watching and hearing me talk about some of the things that are going on in town. I've been on kind of a hiatus for 3-4 months, maybe even longer hiatus. So my goal is to get back to doing this on a regular basis, on an every other week basis. So if you like it, if it's worth your time and energy to watch it, if we provide some good information to you, please let me know so that we can continue to do that. And I'd also love it if you have topics that you want me to talk about too. So now to topics. Let me hit a few big ones. First of all, I want to visit about the pavilion. I get a lot of calls about the Minnesota Square Park Pavilion, and kind of here's where it's at. The first phase bids have already been put out and have been awarded, and so those first phase bids are really for subground work. So demolition and footings and foundations and that kind of stuff, and also the steel, the erection for the steel, because the lead time, the time from that you take from ordering to when it's received is very, very long. Right now, as of today, the second phase of bids are out, and so that's kind of the rest of the structure as it's building, whether it's the sheetrock or shingles or whatever it is. It's all of that kind of stuff, and the folks, the labor to build that. So we're well on our way to make that happen. We have made some changes and some adjustments from the original plan, so I wanted to give you an up to date. Here's kind of the latest version from our architect about how that's supposed to look. I know this is printed out, and so please bear with me. The colors may not be exactly true, and one of the things that we're likely to do that's a big savings cost is that in these areas you'll see where there is roofing that's likely to be shingles, but this top part is likely to be a metal roof that has a contrasting color, kind of like the cupola that we see on many of our other parks buildings and you see on structures throughout our area. So anyway, that work is going to continue to move on. We still expect the completion date to be here in the middle of August. So if you want to participate in that, if you want to be a part of it, we had 33 members on a task force that participated, and then we had a secondary committee that's goal was to help find value ways to save money while still meeting the goals of the task force. And so that group has met and made recommendations, and those have been incorporated in the bids. But if you're interested in participating, we do have a way for people to financially participate if you'd like to get your name on the pavilion, if you'd like to see and have an impact on all these great events and festivals that are listed there. So anyway, that's kind of the pavilion, and I expect the final cost to be, those final sets of bids will be the end of this month. So likely the first part of March we'll be awarding those, and construction will start as soon as the weather kind of lets construction start, depending on how the weather is. All right, so that's it. The next one I wanted to talk about was the fire hall. A lot of discussion going on about the fire hall, and you've probably all seen articles in the newspaper. There's even been some things on KEYC TV News, and we've had certainly some information within the hot sheet and other things about the fire hall. The council is on a track to build a new fire hall within the next couple of years. And so there are a number of things that are being considered, and an architect was hired a couple of years ago to start work on this, work with the fire department. We did a site selection study. And so this study did an analysis. It was really intended to help us determine a good site. And so it was doing an analysis on a lot of different things, but two of the primary things were, one of which was where is the center point of our response area based on the last 5 years. So we have a bigger area than just the city of St. Peter that we serve for fire services. And so it was looking at how many calls and where they were and kind of figuring out where that is relative to time and time traveled, and where are stop signs and where are stop lights and all that kind of stuff. And so that study's actually on our website right now if you wanted to take a look at it. And it came back with a little bit over a half a dozen sites that could work out and work just fine for this location. Some have some pros and cons. Some maybe aren't even available to buy or to develop on, but this is kind of how you get the ball rolling. In addition to that, the architect has done some work about really thinking about the size of the fire hall that we need and the size related to specific uses that are going to be included, like how many offices are needed, what's the size of a bay for a garage, How many of those do we need? What's the total size? How does that work? And so a lot of that work has been done, and a number of studies have been done, and also a report provided to the City Council talking about, well, why is it this size, and how does that relate to practical uses, and is that kind of what the universe of fire halls look like? Do they all have an office for the fire chief or not, and that kind of stuff. So that is great information that's been available on our website as well. So again, encourage you to take a look at that. So here's kind of the next stuff that's going to go on with the fire hall. First, we're going to continue to work with the architect and the fire department and the City Council to really more clearly define the scope of the fire hall. And so our goal is to get to maybe a 30% plan, 50% plan, so that really tight estimates can be provided. As you know, the council's discussed potentially using a sales tax to help pay for a portion of the fire hall. And so they'll make a decision on that probably in April-ish, May-ish, give or take a little bit. So you could expect that if they go forward, that on the November ballot of 2019, there'll be a request for the city voters to decide whether they want to use a sales tax to help pay for part of it, or whether they don't want to use a sales tax to help pay for part of the fire hall. Sales tax in town, 0.5% sales tax will generate, according to the state, roughly about $260,000 to $270,000 a year, which is a pretty good chunk of the debt service that we would expect to pay. It's not the entire thing. One of the things that kind of I think about is, how do we clarify the question for folks? And so one of the things that I've thrown out there and have been quoted in the paper about, and I think it's really true, is, you know, that vote in November, if it does go forward, if the council does ask the community to support a 0.5 cent sales tax, it's not really you're voting for a fire hall or not a fire hall. The reality is that we got to build a fire hall, and one way or another, the city council is going to move forward and build a fire hall. The question is do we want to use sales tax to pay for part of that? And the basis for that sales tax is that, well, certainly if you live in town, you and I both buy things at the hardware store. There are other places where we pay sales tax. But a lot of the money that comes in from sales tax would come in from people that don't pay property taxes here in town or don't pay utility bills. So are we asking other people to help pay for the fire hall? Is that a good thing, or is that a bad thing? And so that's really kind of what's going to be asked at the November election. So anyway, stay tuned for that. I'm going to provide a lot more information on that and a lot of other topics, and certainly there'll be a lot more information related to the fire hall, costs, locations, those kind of things before we ask the community members to vote on a sales tax. So anyway, stay tuned for that. Solar subscription program. Even though it's hard to believe that solar energy heats us up a lot and does a lot of great stuff within our community, especially when it's 30 below. Anyway, we have a solar subscription program, and some of you have heard me talk about this before, but I wanted to make one other quick pitch here. If you are interested in subscribing to solar through the City of St. Peter, we'd love to work with you. So please give us a call. Our program's called Solar Choice, and it allows you to subscribe to energy that's produced from a solar farm that's located near Owatonna and is on our system. It works really slick. We have 120 or so folks within our community that already subscribe to Solar Choice, and so we're continue to be excited to work with them and with you if you're interested as well. Let me keep going. Here's another one that I want to talk about. The City Council just had a goal-setting session, which they have 4 times a year, give or take a little bit. And part of the reason for that goal session is to really think about, in the big picture, how to steer the big ship and what direction do they want to go. And this is one of the things that they always talk about. It's called the list of vital importance. And so these are items that the council talks about on a regular basis and really uses as that measuring stick, that lens. How do they look at things? So as an example on this list, availability of quality health care, that all relates to the things that we do within our community, clean water, clean resources, but also the hospital and urgent care and all that stuff fits into that. One of the other ones that you'll see on here is improved sustainability. There I just talked about Solar Choice, so it's not only improved sustainability from an environmental standpoint, but from a business standpoint, a business model standpoint. So anyway, these are kind of those lenses that the council looks at, and I really want you to be able to take a few seconds and see what these are, because these are those things at 50,000 feet that the council really talks about and thinks about as they're setting goals for our community and making decisions about what works and what doesn't work within St. Peter. couple of other quick tidbits before I get to the end here. Winterfest is on. A great start to Winterfest last Friday with a bonfire and s'mores and hot chocolate and polar plunge, and there's activities at the fairgrounds and all kinds of fantastic stuff going on. And the city participates in that. We aren't the host for that. It's really the Chamber of Commerce. So if you want to know more about the wonderful activities that are going on as part of Winterfest, don't be afraid to check out the St. Peter Chamber of Commerce website. I know Ed's got lots of great postings on there and a couple of videos about things that are going on. So make sure that you check that out as well. Also, another place to check out some great video activity is Rivers Edge Hospital. Stephanie Holden up there has done a really cool job with a number of videos that kind of introduce the new spaces and give you updates on the construction. So if you haven't had a chance to go up there and you're at your computer and you want to stay warm, and this is a great way for you to see kind of some of the updates that have gone on. And Stephanie does a great job of kind of hosting kind of a virtual tour, so to speak, of what's going on at the hospital there. So that's about it for this edition of State of the City. Thanks for clicking on us. Again, let me know if it's worth your time or if you have topics. But I do want to mention these things as well. This is how you can get a hold of us. So please send me an email or follow us on Twitter or sign up for the hot sheet or give us a call. Love to come out and visit with your group or your organization. So just give me a call and let me know if we can do that. Be happy to make that happen. And again, check out our website. There's so many great things on our website and on our Facebook pages that we list on here. Phew, that's it for this edition of State of the City. Thanks again. Stay warm out there.